welcome back to our channel. Today we have a very interesting topic for the podcast. Today's topic is about immigrant realities and how job market is built. Is it built for us? Is it not built for us? What are our perspectives? Let's get into the episode. I'm Gohar. I'm from Pakistan. I have worked in the design industry for many years.
I'm Man from Lithuania. I worked in biotech industry for over a decade.
We currently live in the UK and we have been gaining work experience here. What motivated us to do this episode?
Well, currently the job market is tough and challenging, and we can just have a talk about it.
Yeah, the job market in the UK at least is really bad. And I think it's important to highlight that how much more it impacts us as immigrants, because we have this additional challenge of understanding the culture, understanding like there's a big learning curve, and on top of that now we're all suffering with job market challenges.
That is true.
Let's come on to the topic. Let's talk about the safety nets and the benefits that we had in our countries, or the people, the locals that have here in their home country, such as the UK, how that differs from us immigrants. I want to talk more about, for example, us being here in a new country, don't have like a safety net to rely on, obviously, because our families are in the home countries. And we don't have any like inherited properties or savings or like connections that our parents might have known. For example, an uncle who could help us out, get a job or in HR or something, or could send us a reference. So in a new country where we are an immigrant, we don't have any of such like benefits that we might have in our own home country.
That's right. In the UK, if a person is local, most likely if they lose a job, they can move back to their parents or other relatives. While if one moves to a different country, then they are required to have more independence, then they're more on their own.
Yeah, there's this additional pressure to succeed fast as well, because even if we are in the UK and or like in a different country and trying to push through and make it work, the expectation back home from people who are looking at us, the expectation is that, oh, we have succeeded. But so it's like that constant pressure as well to just succeed fast and keep making it. And if we fail, then there's not much room for failure, really. We fail and we just have to get back up. We can't move in with our parents and just go live with them.
People move to different countries such as UK for better career opportunities or even bigger salaries, and in turn that makes people who stayed in your own country a little bit jealous, especially if you're doing well, and that sets the expectation bar high. And if you're struggling, then people would say, why did you leave in the first place then?
Exactly. So that's one point that we hear time and time again, either from people in the home countries and also from people who are here, like for example in the UK or whichever country people are living in. Like people here, if we ever do a little bit of complaint, then there's this question, okay, so why did you move? Why did you leave your home country? The same with the people from our home country. They're like, okay, so why did you go then? Now that you left, you should be thankful enough. But my point is that we shouldn't we shouldn't have this strict expectation for people that have moved abroad, because they moved there to have a better future for themselves. But now there is all of this sudden pressure to survive in a completely new society where you have a big learning curve in terms of like education, in terms of understanding the culture, to understand the job market, when the job market is down, to just figure out like what to do, how to get a job, how to keep pushing and still satisfy, still have that expectation to satisfy like people back home or people here who are just thinking that, oh, now that you move abroad, everything just works out magically. No, I want to see a society someday that doesn't have that expectation from people.
I feel that's still far away, and if someone managed to get back on their feet after all such difficulties, then they would probably be able to make inspirational and motivational stories.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. And like the amount of mental toll that it takes on us as immigrants, because if we fail sometime, there's this like phobia in my mind at least that we are left behind because others in the country are moving forward, or even if they aren't, the society makes us think that everybody is moving forward. But I just get this phobia of thinking, oh, maybe I'm just left behind. Maybe I need to do more, which I feel that the locals don't always feel because I think because they're more familiar with the culture, they don't maybe necessarily feel that much pressure to just constantly push forward. That's how I feel.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about the job market for people who have a visa sponsorship. What about that? What's the expectation like that if somebody comes here on a job related visa, there's this constant fear that if you lose that job, then what? If you want to move away from that job, then you don't have a lot of choice. Like you are tied to that job, and even if that job may have a toxic culture, you just have to like survive because you came here and you have to push through that toxicity in order to stay in the country.
I think that's relevant for not only UK but USA and other countries. People come to work under work visa and then they can't leave. If the job is toxic, they have to stay. And if the company is struggling and has to release the people, then these people are in very bad limbo situation where nowadays many job applications have this requirement that one would not need any sponsorship, otherwise they cannot proceed. So for people who are visa dependent in such a way, then the situation is really bad. It sucks practically.
Yeah, it's like these days looking at the job market, like you say, there's this checkbox that would you require sponsorship? And I think if you do yes, it just automatically goes into the bin or something. Because there's everywhere they just ask, would you need sponsorship? And companies not willing to provide sponsorship. I get the point that the visa conditions are also harsh, but it feels a bit like we have this constant pressure to prove our worth in order to like get sponsorship, or even if you are here, just to find a role that would be willing to sponsor you, no matter how talented or how skilled you are, they may still not want to sponsor you. It feels a lot like a big privilege.
Yeah, it's quasi impossible nowadays. So it's really bad situation, especially in UK.
Yeah, like myself going through a redundancy cycle recently, I understand how much of a toll it takes for some of my colleagues who were visa dependent on that specific job. It's horrible what sort of torture they go through, and also then they have to, like, if they are being made redundant, then they have to stay in the company to do the whole notice just so they can stay in the country, which is just really harsh because obviously the role is being made redundant, and I think the company would support people if they would want to leave, but it's the visa that the people feel so like helpless about, that they have to sort of do the things that they may not have to do otherwise. Like, for example, the locals, if they were being made redundant, they would just leave right away. But some people that are visa dependent may not be able to. And it's just the whole system, it's like a systemic failure.
In addition to that, people who don't depend on visa, if they were made redundant, worst comes to worst, they can just go to some shop or do any random relevant job to stay afloat while they figure out and find a new job. While people who are dependent, they cannot do even that. They would probably be required to prove their legal status even for low quality jobs, unless they do something illegal. I don't imagine how it is sustainable for them. So I would imagine for such people it is very stressful.
Yeah, like you mentioned a really good point that even if you're visa dependent, you are supposed to do like highly skilled jobs, like be a doctor or like something really highly skilled. Like you can't do jobs that maybe the locals can do. Like there's so much more opportunities for people that are not visa dependent. Yeah, it's just I don't understand. It's just a systemic issue, I think. I don't know who is that. Whose fault is this? Who made these rules?
Humans.
Yeah. The next point that I wanted to bring is that we've been hearing that work hard and you'll succeed. What are your views on that?
Well, I think in 1950s USA it would be true, but nowadays it's utter bullshit. As we know, people's work effectiveness and efficiency have increased. Salaries have not been catching up. It's relevant in many different countries, not only UK but USA as well. And now if you work harder, you probably work harder because the company requires you to work harder, and any extra overtime most likely is not appreciated. Bosses say that it's you who are not managing your workflows very well and so on, or maybe line management who cannot distribute the workload among the subordinates all that well. Anything except them. So I think if you work hard, you'll just get tired, drained, but that does not correlate with success. You might succeed, but I don't think success depends on hard work nowadays.
Yeah.
There are some probably areas, probably there are exceptions. So there are probably some areas or fields where the harder you work, the more money you make or something like that. But these are probably all personal businesses.
Yeah, so business, we will come to the business topic in a bit, but I want to add another point to this discussion that even if a person is willing to work hard, if there are no relevant jobs in the job market, no matter how hard they're willing to work, if nobody's willing to give them work, then there's not much that, like, not far that they can go. It just feels like a dead end. Because I think people want to work hard, especially immigrants that have left their country. They've come there to work. They want to work hard. They want to put in hard work. But if there are no opportunities, then how can they work hard? Like maybe they can work hard on, I don't know, on playing something at home when they don't have a job. But
they just stay afloat, hope for the best until their hopes are broken.
Yeah, that's a very right way to put it. Then it also takes an emotional labor constantly having to adapt. And like you said about the topic about business, what are your thoughts about having a business as an immigrant? How possible or not possible it is? How easy it is to do that?
Obviously, for immigrants, it is harder because they don't have friends or relatives to fall back onto, to lean on their shoulder. Everything that an immigrant does has to be practically perfect because this fallback after failure is much more severe.
Yeah, and some of the immigrants who have their families with them, like kids, then they just don't have that much of choice. Like if they start a business, they fail, then their kids are in school. Like they have to pay up for them. They don't have an option to not survive. And
Well,
even
school is free.
oh yeah, true. Yeah, true. School is free here, but not everywhere though. Like I've seen people who go to
Private schools.
private schools over here who want their kids to have like private level education and who are like parents who are doing jobs or have their business. I still see them not having as much of room to fall back on. If they want their kids to have private school education, the parents still they don't have, like, if they lose their job or fail in their business, if they lose everything, what do? Do they go back to their home country? Like that's the only choice that left. So it's just really difficult.
Maybe that's why nowadays this generation avoids having kids. They do everything but having kids because sometimes having a kid feels like a dead end, especially for immigrants, because in this uncertain situation, having a kid would be a big liability. There would be big limitations, and many people in this generation tend to just skip it.
Yeah, yeah. And then another thing that comes to my mind from the business topic is that even if a person, okay, they want to take the risk, they want to take the financial risk, they want to start something, they have nobody to fall back on, it still comes with a lot of lack of market understanding. Like because they have moved here maybe some years ago, they don't know the market well enough like a local person, like a native person does. And that's an additional like learning barrier, which they can overcome obviously by learning about the market. But it's the things that we don't necessarily think about, that oh, if you want to start a business you just need to know the market, and that itself can take a long time to learn. So you can't just as an immigrant start a business like from the get-go. It's a huge challenge.
Indeed, everything is very changing and very dynamic, constantly changes. And as you know, as an example, baby boomers who bought their house for 30,000 just tell current generation just to work harder and they will succeed, whilst their houses are now 1.3 million.
Yeah, yeah, very true. I want to talk a little bit about the redundancy that I mentioned, or like any type of job loss that happens to either immigrant or a local person. I think it takes a toll on a person when they lose their job or like means of income. I want to talk about the shame that the society sort of induces on them, that oh, you're supposed to work. For whatever reason they don't have a work at the moment, or like a paying work at the moment. Why is there this taboo surrounding the situation that no, you should be working? Why can't you take a break? Like why can't somebody take a break if they've gone through a harsh like toxic work environment? Why can't they easily take a break and then wait some time and then look for something else? Or if they're struggling finding a job, why can't they openly say that I'm looking for a job, I don't have a job at the moment? Why is there this shame surrounding this whole situation? What do you think about it?
In my opinion, this is not system fault. I think this is just inherent human thing. As I was watching documentaries about various systems, including socialism, communism, capitalism, in all of them, having no work, having no job is considered something extremely bad, very bad, incredibly avoidable. And such people are considered almost like a parasites to society. So I think that's part of humanity. Maybe when there are so many humans around, the best way to keep everyone in check is to keep people at work.
Yeah, like in a way, like you say, that it's a humanity thing, that it's like our thinking. But I also believe that it has something to do with the system, because it's the system that makes us think that without a job, you don't have enough worth. But we do have worth. Like if a person doesn't have job, but is willing to do something like volunteering or is teaching for fun or whatever it is, they have their worth. Or even if they're not doing volunteering, they still have their work. If they are spending time during their hobbies, they're still worth it. having a job factor shouldn't define what their worth is. I think it's the system that makes us think the more money you make, the more your worth is. But if it's a society where nobody works, for example, you would define worth in some other definition. So I think it's the society that makes us think that it's a human issue, but I think it's still a systemic issue.
Yes, in this system, just like in another system, having a job correlates with perceived image of worth and success.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the invisible grief and burnout that people experience or may experience when they move away from their home country to look for career prospects. So we move away, although in a sense people say that, oh, you moved on your choice. Fair enough, we did move on our choice. But we still feel that feeling of leaving friends and family behind, of leaving our culture behind, adapting to something completely new, learning new things. Learning is good, but what I'm talking about is it does take a toll on the mental health, and it does burn us out in a way when, for example, if there's an occasion and we don't have our family or friends to celebrate it with, then it takes a toll on us. But it's those things that are never spoken about much, how much it impacts our ability to function in a society. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. I believe that if one is moving abroad, they should be expecting that, and also they should have big mental resilience, mental capacity, and capability to be flexible, because if one is raised in the environment, then they can get used to that environment and they learn how to survive in that environment the best. They adapt to their foods, and then when they move to a different environment, then the rules are different, the food is different, and there are other challenges that were previously not considered. There is a lot of unexpected things, and indeed it can overwhelm a person and cause that so-called burnout.
Yeah. And also, like as an immigrant, we also have to consider the immigrant guilt that we all carry with us. For example, like we were talking about earlier, the business prospect that if we fail, then what? Okay, so one point is that we don't have something to rely back on, but also that we have this immigrant guilt where at least I feel that, oh, the family or like whoever, the support system has worked so much to enable us to be here where we are, so we can't fail. Like we have to push through for all that effort to come to fruition. Do you feel that, or is it just me and some other?
This could be taken as an additional motivating aspect, that if one is struggling with something, they should never give up. They should keep on going, keep on trying new things, and never give up no matter how bad the situation is.
Yeah, that's where the burnout comes in then. Like constantly keep pushing, never give up, and then you burn out. And you can't like prioritize yourself. That no, you also deserve to have a break. But then you can't because you need the visa sponsorship. So it's like all a very toxic cycle.
Toxic loop.
Toxic loop. But also, let's talk about the beauty in struggle. We've talked about all the negative scenarios, but what's the beauty in it? Like, we have struggled, moved abroad. That gives us a sense of like resilience. I think all of us that are immigrants are very resilient. Like, small things don't break us. I think we have that confidence and we have that strength that it takes. It's hard to break us. What do you think?
Nowadays, new and contemporary schools of thought claim that if a person is struggling or suffering, then they are taught invaluable lessons about resourcefulness and resilience. That means only in hard times they can gain certain qualities that cannot be gained otherwise, and with those new developed qualities, then they will succeed in life.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that there can still be unexpected wins people can still make it even if all the odds going against them, the visa system, everything going against, they can still make it. Like, they can prioritize themselves, they can still step into something that is a bit nerve-wracking, and they can still win. And also it's important to celebrate small victories. Like, even if you do one step at a time, it's important to acknowledge that and celebrate it, because I think a lot of the times in this hustle culture we forget, and we are like constantly pushing to go forward, but we forget how much forward we have come, and it's important to celebrate those small wins one step at a time.
If you relate with anything that we talked so far, let us know in the comments, and we will be there to support you, or we will celebrate your victories.
Definitely.
Let us know, and we will respond.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for listening to our episode. I hope some things were relatable to you. I hope more people can talk about this, and talks like this bring a systemic change, and maybe things become easier for everybody in this world. Maybe that could be a hope someday. Maybe we will have unexpected wins. You never know.
We can make more such or similar content. To show your support, you can subscribe, and then you will receive more content from us.
Yeah, like our video, comment on it. Have a look at our Instagram page. We make some small, short, funny videos, and would love to do more. Let us know if you want us to talk about any other topics, any other burning topics, and we will pick up and talk about that. Until then,
have a good day, and we will see you next time.
Bye.